Hey kids, this is your old Uncle Axebone. You're listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast. Now let's go draw something cool.
Hello everybody, my name is Ian Taylor and welcome to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast, brought to you by the Marvel Cards Fan Collective. You can find our two groups on Facebook, details of which are at the end of this podcast, so come check us out. With me is my co-pilot in all things Marvel cards. He's 50% Flash Thompson and 50% Ned Leeds with a dash of Betty Brant, but never a hobgoblin except when he's not had his morning coffee. It's Norrin Rad.
Everybody, hey.
Can I be more convoluted?
I can't get those kind of results from Ancestry.com, so I'm really happy to see my pie chart. That was nice.
You're doing well. You're doing well.
Yeah,
you're doing
well.
well.
Good.
A good day to you wherever you may be listening. I would say good afternoon, but you might be listening in the morning, which doesn't really work. I am speaking to you from the hottest room on earth right now because it is crazy hot in the UK, and I'm in my loft and the sun is beating down onto the tile roof. Norrin, are you in air conditioning or are you cool in the gang where you are?
So it's been extremely hot over here as well, but we just had a break with some horrible storms, so the sun is finally out. I'm feeling pretty cozy, to be honest.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Well, at least one of us is dry. Which is good. I'm often moist when I record these, but let's not go into that right now.
That's a really sexy image. I don't know why.
But... Yeah. We our listener base has just reduced by half.
Pretty much.
Collectively gone. Ew. So we had so many things to talk about this week. I mean, literally.
Yeah.
We are spoilt for choice this week. I've got some great feedback from the Grail card stuff, but I'm not going to talk about that this week. I'm going to hold that. And I've also completely forgotten what I was about to say. No, it's gone. But I tell you what I will say. We have a Twitter feed.
Yes.
We have a Twitter feed. So, which one of our listeners and passionate supporters, Kevin St. Jack, hello Kevin, suggested, and I was like, because there's so many. I've got 4 Instagram feeds on my phone.
Oh damn!
3 Twitter ones. I've also got, and 2 of them are work related. So it's kind of like, there's a lot going on social. So I'm like, can I really? And then I was like, you know what? It's actually not a bad idea. Because a lot of creators and artists are very active on Twitter and not so much elsewhere, in the same way that a lot of artists are active on Instagram.
That's true.
So it kind of makes sense a little bit. So from here on in, on both Facebook and Twitter, we are at the MCC Pod. So you can come and check us out on those. The Facebook page was at MCC Pod, which I was going to do when I went to Twitter. But what do you know? Someone's already got it.
Whoa, really?
I know. They haven't used it since 2011. And I believe that you can, I think you can apply to Twitter if something's not been used for that long, and you can put a good case forward for them to kind of say, right, well, that's no longer active. But I couldn't be asked with that. So like, what's available? And it was suggested to me to be at MCC Pod 71.
71?
Really random. That was its first suggestion. And I looked, and there isn't an MCC Pod 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 70. They don't exist. So why it suggested 71, I'll never know. Anyway, so we are at the MCC Pod on Twitter, and I've changed the Facebook one to match because it kind of makes sense. So you've just got that one little handle to find us. So that's all good. It would really, really help us out, guys, if you could spread the word about the podcast, if you could tweet about us, if you could talk about us on Instagram, if you could leave us a review on iTunes. That would really help. If you could leave us a review on our Facebook page. Basically, if you dig us, tell people about us.
Yeah, please. That'd be great.
That would be absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to take a sip from my pint of coffee.
This thing's huge, guys. It's ridiculous. It's basically the size of Ian's head.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. The energy will get slowly more bonkers as the episode goes on. I'm going to give a shout out now to our artist intro this week, Axebone. We've talked about him, I think, on previous podcasts.
We have.
Axebone is, quite frankly, a legend. He's been active in sketch cards since I became aware of them in 07, 08. He draws remarkably wonderful female forms is probably the best way to phrase it. He's a really, really nice guy. He's done a number of his own sets outside of the Marvel time that he had with Rittenhouse. A number of his own sets via his own Bad Axe Studios.
He's definitely one of those artists where like you don't need to see his signature. When you see his art, you know his art.
Oh, yeah.
And it's legendary in the hobby, as you all know.
Yeah.
So Axebone. Yeah, he's definitely popular.
Yeah. So he's a really, really lovely guy. One day I'd love to get him on. And I know he's fairly near you, so you could even do it in person, mate.
Yeah, it was crazy. I went to a store to go pick up some cards, and they were the first thing I told them I was into Marvel collecting, which, basically I'm a unicorn. And some of them were like, well, you know who Axebone is, right? And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, he comes to the store all the time.
Yeah.
And that kind of blew me away to be in such close proximity. I know another artist that's in Atlanta, Megan Hedrick, I think that's how you say it. So it's pretty crazy to be so central. But yeah, Axebone, it's right in my backyard, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, he's a sweet guy. So thank you, Axe, for doing that intro for the episode. I'm chuckling because when I heard it, I was like, yeah, that's bang on. That's exactly what I'd expect from Axe.
Yeah.
He is on he's on Twitter at Bad Axe Studios, and that's also the title of his Facebook group, Bad Axe Studios, where a lot of the stuff is based around the sets that he's released. What I love about the sets that he's had come out over the last sort of 10 years ago, Dungeon Dolls, Treasure Chests and Booty, you can kind of see where this is going. Women of Wasteland, there's a space one, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Westward Ho, there we go. He includes, this is the great thing about it, the guys that do the artwork for the sets and then do the sketch cards for the sets are all people who are very active in the sketch card community.
Yeah,
I mean, it's literally a who's who of sketch card artists. Some of them still on Marvel licenses, some of them kind of doing their own thing, moving on to comics and their own sort of own sets and portraying things. But the artists he's got pulling into his sets, absolutely incredible.
Seriously. And those cards are pretty extremely collectible as well. I see them on eBay all the time, and they're always good prices, good pieces. I mean, just consistent art, really.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Shane McCormack regularly does work for him.
I have a good card by him, actually. Yeah, it's a great artist.
Jeremy Treese regularly work with him. Who I'm just scrolling through because I didn't actually prep for this particular list. Of course, my favourite, Elfie Lebeleux. I think that's her surname. She's French, and her
she's
work
awesome.
is it's just incredible. And I actually collect her work.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I do. I collect her work from the Axebone sets.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that must be a killer collection. I got to see that.
Yeah. Mainly from the Dungeon Dolls set where she kind of first came onto it. I've got about, I don't know, maybe 10 sketch cards from that. And Scott Barnett, my friend Scott Barnett, proud to call the guy friend. Scott was on. What was Scott on? Scott was on Spider-Man Archives, and he was on a lot of those Rittenhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good artist, man. That's really
yeah,
cool too.
yeah. He's a really lovely guy. He lives in New Jersey. I've met him, and
Oh, wow.
he's one of these artists that I've kind of developed a relationship with over the years, and I'm proud and happy to regard him as a friend. And he's a really sweet guy. He's less active at the moment because he's got a life and he's got a little boy, and he's doing his thing. But he did a series a couple of years back, self-published comic book called Dead Man's Party, which was awesome. Absolutely, I can't recommend that highly enough. And we're 10 minutes in and we've barely mentioned anything Marvel because we're just gushing over these wonderful artists. So thank you, Axe.
They are all Marvel artists. I mean,
yeah.
anybody knows who collects sketch cards, you start getting a lay of the land. And Axbone is definitely someone to commission from. He is. You definitely want one of him in your set, in your collection, character or set collection for sure.
I mean, I don't have any license cards from him. I've got a PSC, which I don't generally go for. But
yeah, it's rare for me to do that too. But some artists, you just kind of have to.
Yeah, because and actually, I think I did a trade with him. That's right, and he wanted a sketch of an artist that had been a friend of his who'd passed away, and I was like, he was like, I'll do a PSC, and I was like, yeah, cool, and so that was really good, and Elfie's just brilliant. Her work is great. You just check her out.
Yeah, I love it.
We'll probably gush over her a little bit more when hopefully she does an intro for the podcast. So I'll be reaching out to her shortly. So it's been an absolutely bonkers weekend in the MCU universe.
Yes,
it's been a bonkers week actually. What with the Spider-Man news,
Sony drop debacle. Yeah.
So which is interesting, and that in the lead up to D23. So for those who don't know, D23 is every year, and it's not that every year it's D23 and the next year it's D24 and then it's D25, etc. I don't actually know what the D23 means, but D23 is the name of it, and it's kind of the Disney Expo.
Mm-hmm.
Where they kind of talk about their own releases. It's kind of like their SDCC, I guess.
I think D23 is going to start replacing a lot of these other conventions. I think it's going to be considered one of the biggest ones, especially with all the licenses they have.
Exactly, and certainly this year we talked at length on MCU Stew Part 1. Because this is part 2, folks. So let's drop that right now. There were an awful lot of announcements at SDCC. However, as blessed as we were with all the news and all the wonderful stuff that came out of SDCC, they weren't done.
Yeah. They were.
So, oh my goodness me! I mean, we are in strange times, my friend. What can I say? So first of all, obviously, aside from the Marvel stuff, they talked about. So I'm on our website with so many ads; it's ridiculous. Go away. They talked about the new Star Wars.
Yes,
there was a poster released for that, and apparently there was some footage shown there that hasn't been made available on the internet.
There is the Mandalorian trailer out, right?
However, yes. So there's some footage shown from Rise of Skywalker, but that's not on the internet. However, yes, you're right. They did drop a trailer for The Mandalorian, which is the live-action series and is going to be one of the launch series for Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Remember? And good grief, does it look good?
It looks so good.
Oh my goodness me!
I'm a huge fan of Boba Fett, and that is looking so crazy
good. Is it actually him, the character?
No, the Mandalorian. I think it's someone. I don't know. I know it has to do with the Mandalorians. I hope I'm saying that right. I think I am. Right. So I know it has to do with them. I don't know if it's Bubba. It's my boy, but I know the actor who's playing him, and he's sick.
Is it
he was in a great Spanish guy.
Yeah.
Pascal something maybe. I forget his name now, but he's always been good. He's been in a couple of movies. He was in a great TV show about
Pedro Pascal. Yes.
That's it.
Yes. Was he in the
He was in that Netflix series about the drug lords, the Colombian drug lords.
Pablo Escobar.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes. Okay, I'm with you. Yeah.
He was really good. He
Yeah.
was a character that I kind of looked out for. I'm interested to see what the show does. It looks really fun. Looks exciting. I mean, this D23 stuff, everything that's happening, the Marvel announcements, this stuff's only going to get crazier. I'm interested to see how this stuff works with Upper Deck and how it works with Marvel releases.
Exactly.
Because I mean, are we going to get a She-Hulk, card series?
I don't know. Well, listen, you're a step ahead there, dear boy.
Am I?
Because
Let me
I'm still
step
on the
back.
Mandalorian. Hang on.
I'm still on the Mandalorian, right?
That's quite all right. No, I was just looking at the cast list for the Mandalorian. I was about to say that Carl Weathers is in it.
Oh,
Carl Weathers. This guy's in his 70s.
killing
He's
it.
ripped. I mean, seriously, the guy's still absolutely ripped. If you just Google Carl Weathers like now,
I'm looking it up
and
now.
yeah, the guy is in incredible shape. I mean, listen, I've never been in that shape, and I'm in my 40s, so the odds of aspiring to be in that shape.
The odds of it
So,
suddenly popping up.
well, listen, it could do if I stop doing podcasts and start going to the gym, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. The guy is the guy's still got it in a big way. So yeah, I'm really intrigued by him being in that because he's still around. But Taika Waititi, who directed Ragnarok and who's going to direct Thor: Love and Thunder, he is in the Mandalorian. He's doing the voice of the droid.
Oh, one IG-88.
Yeah, I think he's doing that.
Whoa,
So
that'd be fun.
so anything else aside, I'm in because that guy could sit there and read the phone book and I'd be in.
Yeah, he's pretty great.
He's really funny. And it kind of looks like it's going to be a Western. It has that feel to it.
I know. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah. So it's good. And then just in the trailer, and there was just one bit in the trailer where you just heard, that blaster sound that's distinctly Star Wars.
Yeah.
When you heard that, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
But anyway, D23. So they talked about a heck of a lot of other stuff. So they expanded on some of the stuff from SDCC. So they talked about the Eternals more, and they actually announced the cast, which was good.
Yeah.
They had them all on stage. So Angelina Jolie was there. Kit Harington, so Jon Snow from Game of Thrones, he was there.
And he's playing Black Knight.
He is indeed.
Right.
Issue one of which I picked up a low-grade reader copy of earlier on today. Because
sick.
I've only just started on the Avengers Volume 1. Of course, I've just started on it, and straight away, I'm having to go for certain issues because Marvel keep bloody making announcements.
Yeah, they are.
But so they announced that, and who else is it? The guy who played his brother in Game of Thrones, and this is going to be spoilers, but if you haven't watched it, it was on 6 years ago, so tough. So you've seen Game of Thrones, yeah?
Yes.
So the Red Wedding?
Yes.
So Robb Stark,
Mhm.
the actor who plays him is in the Eternals as well. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But he was in a BBC show called The Bodyguard last year, which was huge.
It's not bad. I liked it.
Yeah.
The Bodyguard. Yeah, I saw. I think I seen like season 1 and 2.
No. This just a single season.
Oh, okay. I know I've seen a lot of the episodes.
Yeah, about a close protection officer protecting a UK politician.
Yeah.
Anyway, that fella. Apologies, Mr. Robb Stark. I can't remember your real name, and I should have looked it up. So Gemma Chan is in it, who's an English actress, who's been in some good stuff. So there's some good people in it. Black Panther 2 was announced, which is new.
Yeah.
Whoever didn't see that coming, because
the crazy thing about that though is that it's the first movie that's going to start Phase 5.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, and it's 2022, right?
Oh yeah, 6th of May. Here we go, 6th of May 2022. They announced it.
Yeah, and they said that's the first one that will introduce Phase 5.
Wow. Okay, so we're already into Phase 5. Apparently, they also showed the first trailer for Black Widow, which hasn't been released, I don't believe. No. So that, I can't wait. Looking forward to that.
That's going to be cool.
And what else? Apparently, they showed a brief teaser for What If.
No way.
Yeah. which is going to be animated.
Right.
Which is good. Says in this article I'm reading that the majority of the MCU cast have also lent their voices to the project.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. So they said that at SDCC that they were going to go ahead and like basically they were going to bring people's voices into the animated series, which should be really cool.
Here we go. The guy's name I couldn't remember mere moments ago. Richard Madden.
Oh, Richard Madden.
Yeah. Also in the Eternals, Salma Hayek.
That's going to be cool.
Price of admission right there. Take my money now. Thank you.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So also in What If, apparently there was a clip of Peggy Carter, voiced by Hayley Atwell, getting injected with the super soldier serum that created Captain America. So that's clearly one.
That's a really cool what if.
Of the what if scenarios. That's like, wow. Okay. Another clip saw the Winter Soldier fighting a zombie Captain America on a subway train.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
That's going to be the nuts.
That's going to be great.
Loki, a little bit more info on that. That's going to take place after the character escaped with the Tesseract in Avengers Endgame.
Whoa.
So that straight away is an alternate timeline. So it's the multiverse idea. I think that's really interesting because you did see Loki's character die at the beginning of Infinity War.
Yeah.
We've seen Loki die before, but this one seemed pretty definitive. So that's the way they get around it.
I'm really excited about this.
I think that's great.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Because if you think about the fact that Tesseract escape at Avengers Endgame, we might have seen it in Avengers Endgame, but it was at the time of the Avengers movie.
Yeah.
So none of the events of Thor: The Dark World or Ragnarok or any of the other movies that had Loki in have happened in that timeline if it splits at that point.
Interesting.
That's mad. Oh, can't wait.
I wonder if they're going to do this based off on actual issues.
I don't know. They're bound to.
They're bound to, right? I would think so.
Material from the comics. They'd be mad not to. They've got such.
I know. I think that'd be a big mistake if they didn't.
So Falcon and Winter Soldier. So we'll get onto the new stuff in a minute. But Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's going to have Daniel Bruhl, the actor's name, returning as Baron Zemo.
Good, because that was a pretty good character.
I did, but I think they kind of just stopped with him before it got going.
I think so too.
Also, Emily Van Camp returning as Sharon Carter.
Oh, her niece or her daughter?
Yeah, her niece.
Her niece.
Which is joyous news for me. There was nothing much about Hawkeye. WandaVision. Let's scroll this out. Not One Division, but WandaVision. Apparently, this is interesting. The show has been pitched as a half classic sitcom, half full MCU spectacular.
That's fascinating.
It's kind of bizarre, which does definitely tie in with that Vision series that you mentioned.
Yeah, I think because he mentioned that he read it, so I'm thinking something's happening there. So because I don't see why that wouldn't be the case.
Exactly.
So yeah, I feel like something's happening there for real.
But it does go. This article that I'm reading, because I'm basically drawing most of my information from one article here, but I don't care. Whilst filming is yet to start, a brief reel was shown to the audience, which intercuts scenes of the two characters, contrasting with a clip from a 1950s series, The Dick Van Dyke Show. Kat Dennings will return as her character from the Thor movies, Darcy Lewis.
Oh.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah, that is.
Good. Teyona Paris will play the grown-up version of Monica Rambeau.
Huh.
Who we saw as a child in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
This is bring it on. I'm color me intrigued. Yeah, it's
I'm
great.
into all this.
And then the new stuff. They talked about Ms. Marvel,
Yes.
Kamala Khan, Marvel's first Muslim character to get their own comic. And Kevin Feige said that she would make a transition into the Marvel films after that series,
That's awesome.
which is great news. And then, of course, because we only talked about it on the last episode when I was talking about that comic panel,
Yes.
Moon Knight.
Yep. So they announced it.
Yeah. So that's happening as a series.
Yeah, it is.
I believe it's a series. And then finally, She-Hulk, which is absolutely bonkers. Because there's a rich set of stories on She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Dan Slott's run on that was great.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing too. I haven't read it, but that's what I hear too.
Yeah, I've got the trades, and it's fun. You know, it's not a massive, long arc, and it's very, very satisfying. Kevin Feige only said, "She's a Hulk. She's a lawyer."
I'm glad she's still a lawyer, though.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's really intriguing. Nothing from what I'm reading to give timescales on Ms. Marvel, Moon Knight, and She-Hulk. Phase 4 looked pretty full as a pattern. So it could well be that they're Phase 5.
I wonder. I don't know.
Don't know. I mean, I could probably sit here and have our listeners listen to me googling to other news sources, or I could have done my research before we came on. To be fair, we came onto this episode and we were like, okay, we could go this way or we could go this way, and it was very much a choose your own adventure.
Yes.
We chose to go with the MCU route, and then quickly realised that neither of us had just done any research. This is pretty typical for this podcast. So the one thing I did do a little bit of research on, but it's weeks ago, so you're going to have to forgive me on my memory on this. When we did the last MCU episode, the plan was always going to be to talk about the SDCC announcements and then talk about the card sets.
Yes.
But we spent so long gassing about the MCU announcements that we kind of run out of time. So let's segue. Quite nicely onto the notes I made about the MCU cards, because we've not really talked about them.
No, we haven't. We really haven't. Yeah.
And people probably listening to this think, well, there is more to Marvel trading cards than sketch cards, because we do talk about that a lot.
Yes.
And it is one aspect of the hobby. And there are people who don't do sketch cards. And know, we want this show to be for them as well. There are people who don't do the original art cards, who do the MCU related cards. And so this one's for you, folks. So I had a little look on Jeff Allen's House of Checklist, and I did a little sort of check through, and it's very interesting. So there have basically been trading card sets, from what I can gather, for every MCU movie so far. In fact, pretty much every Marvel property so far has had a look in. But the first Iron Man movie was a Rittenhouse Archive set. Of course, they still had the license at that point.
Oh.
So that's the first kind of MCU movie. There were movies before that. So, the Hulk movie with Ang Lee directed with Eric Bana.
Yeah.
Which is actually still one of my all-time favorite comic book movies.
Really? I remember, man, do you remember when that trailer first hit?
Yeah.
Where he breaks out of the bathroom when he's looking in the mirror? I still got goosebumps. That trailer and the one for Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man trailer.
Oh, do you mean the original one where he was...
the helicopter gets caught in the web?
Towers?
Yeah, the 9/11 towers, yeah.
Which actually got withdrawn.
Yeah, I saw that.
Quite rightly, very, very soon after the events of 9/11.
Because they had filmed it before.
Yeah, exactly, and they released it, and then it happened. So for those who don't know, there was a trailer for the first Spider-Man movie. I say first Spider-Man movie. There've been numerous since, where the Tobey Maguire movie, where there's some bank robbers and they fly away in a helicopter, and all of a sudden the helicopter gets sort of stuck in midair, and they're dangling out of the helicopter, and they're in a perilous situation. It pull back to reveal a web between the World Trade Center towers with a helicopter caught in it, and then it cut to Spider-Man coming, whatever date it was, and it was such a good trailer. Anyway, so that movie obviously had its sets. The Hulk movie, the Eric Bana one from 2005, had a set which I believe was Inkworks at the time, when Inkworks was still a thing.
Oh wow!
That one's got a binder.
Really? Does it really?
Yeah, because Inkworks, for all of their now this is not fair to say, actually. I was about to say for all their faults. Inkworks were a pretty solid little trading card company. I like their output a lot, especially their Lost sets, which I got into in a big way. I dropped a lot of dollar on the Lost TV series sets. Their only fault is that they're no longer here. They went up. But they did binders, of course, for all of their sets, which was brilliant. So
that is brilliant.
Anyway, so first Iron Man is a Rittenhouse set. And then also in the MCU, although is it though?
What?
Well, it's the Incredible Hulk movie, the one with Edward Norton. I know it is officially MCU because it's got the end credit sting.
Yeah,
with Samuel L. Jackson, and I know that William Hurt reappears as General Ross, but it's a ghastly film. Have you seen it?
Okay. No, I'm sure it's horrible. Like, my memory is always crud.
It's truly horrendous.
I like Edward Norton as the Hulk, though. I think.
Really?
I kind of did. I know he kind of maybe overplayed it. Maybe I don't know. I'm kind of a sucker for Edward Norton, though.
Oh, that's okay. He speaks.
I'm a little biased. Oh, that's nice. We'll go way back, me and him.
Yeah,
so,
he'll send you a fruit basket after this.
I'm sure he will. He knows I doesn't like raspberries, so he'll send me other things. They have the two Incredible Hulks. Mm-hmm. They have the X-Men Origins, which is pretty cool too. Not that movie was good, but it did have really cool actors. And
I have to say, all of the X-Men movies. The interesting thing about those X-Men movies, they all had autograph cards.
That's what I'm looking at now.
Top end people. So if you go back before MCU, well, it's not before MCU, it's kind of concurrent, but the original X-Men movie, X-Men 2 especially, and X-Men The Last Stand, and then into X-Men Origins, and I don't think the others had sets. All of them you could get top end autographs. So you had Bryan Singer, you had Ian McKellen, Sir Patrick Stewart. Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Don't know why I'm saying good evening.
They pulled great people. Look, I'm looking at X-Men Origins, Hugh Jackman, Wolverine on eBay right now for $575.
Yep. It's there.
These are pretty prized possessions. Ronald Reynolds is $600.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, these are pretty crazy pieces out here.
Schreiber's in there as well.
Yeah.
I tell you, the interesting thing about those, that they are those asking prices or sold prices?
Yeah, well, I have to look up sold prices.
Because I have to say, I don't think they're as limited as you'd think. Those ones. I think there's quite. If I remember, I might be wrong, but if
Ronald
I
Reynolds
back from when they were coming out, although they were, I think Rittenhouse did it as you had limited and then extremely limited, but they didn't tell you the numbers.
Did they? So Rittenhouse is usually good about numbers. They didn't tell you on the site. I have to look at it.
No, I don't. From memory, and I'm
looking.
Sure this is accurate. They don't give you the numbers on those.
Oh, that's devastating.
So when they say extremely limited, the actor could have still signed 120 of them, versus 800 of a lesser actor. So I guess it's limited by relativity in that sense.
Okay, well they do have very limited and limited.
That's it, yeah.
No numbers, but you're absolutely right. So Ronald Reynolds was limited. Hugh Jackman was very limited. And Victor Creed, Lev Snowdenberg, don't know, is limited, but everybody else does not have. Lev Snyberg.
Schreiber, yeah.
I've messed all that up.
That's so okay. He'll forgive you. He's a nice guy.
I'm sure. Does he send you fruit baskets? Is that what happens?
I wish he would.
Some people.
I wish he would. I do have a bit of a man crush on him. I will say he plays Ray Donovan.
Oh, I definitely have a man crush on him. Okay, I didn't know
Yeah,
that's who that was.
yeah,
All
that's that
right.
actor.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay,
yeah,
well, he's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, so I
he's
do
very good.
have a sold listing for a bidding, 37 bids. We have Ronald Reynolds as Deadpool, X-Men Origins Wolverine autograph card graded at a mint 9, and it sold for $455.
Okay, graded. All right. Yeah.
So
If it's an
average,
autograph card, you'd want it graded. I get that.
that does make sense to me too.
Yeah,
That's actually good. Yeah, because there's a whole aspect to Marvel card collecting that, especially with the MCU, is which just autograph series.
exactly.
Yeah.
Which we're going to come back to. So, um, every so I was looking through Alander's list, and every one of them has got every movie has a set or has something in the trading card sphere. Interestingly, on Jeff's site, Avengers Assemble was listed in the comic
Oh.
art section and not in the movie section, TV movie section. I think that's just been misfiled. So in the first Avengers movie, what's it called in the US? What do you know it as?
The Avengers.
Exactly. Everywhere else, it's called Avengers Assemble.
Oh,
Did you know why? Well, especially in Europe and the UK.
no, I didn't. I don't know why.
Well, in the UK, long before the Avengers existed as a comic book, there was a UK TV series called The Avengers,
Oh, right. And then
which
there was a
actually
movie.
predates, I believe, or is about the same sort of time. And it was the original TV series had Patrick McNee as John Steed, um, Diana Rigg in black vinyl for most of the time as I can't remember the character's name now. Anyway, and yes, there was an atrocious movie adaptation with Ralph Fiennes, Uma Thurman, and Sean Connery.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah, now I
Also had a
remember
trading
that.
card set, and that kind of pretty much it was just awful.
Yeah, it looked pretty bad.
It really was. But you had Uma Thurman in black vinyl, so there is that. The but so in the UK, it's called Avengers Assemble. And I think the trading card set was called that as well for that series. And that is actually the only one that I own.
Really?
Yeah, because I bought it, and when I say bought it, I bought the whole thing. So someone had, I bought kind of a master set.
Yeah.
Or, not a full thing as well. So the general rule of thumb with the MCU sets, from what I can tell, is that they all have actor autographs, which are very limited, but it doesn't necessarily follow that all of the actors will sign for the movie. So, for example, I think Thor or Iron Man or one of the early ones only had 5 autograph cards.
Funny enough, I'm looking at a sold listing for an Iron Man autograph card, Robert Downey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
It's near mint 7, PSA graded.
Wow.
It was best offer accepted, but it was listed at 3,249.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The one thing I have noticed, even though I'm not really a connoisseur, that's a lovely word, so I like saying it. If I look at any of those autographs now from those earlier sets, they've always been in high demand, but it's gone absolutely through the roof since Endgame.
Yeah, I mean, there's one
off of some of those actors.
Same card, not graded. Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man, 6 bids, and it's at $2,869.
Yeah, exactly, and that's still the case. So the recent release of the MCU 10th anniversary set on ePacks,
oh yeah,
went really quickly. It sold out.
Did it have any autographs in there?
Oh yeah. Well, the whole set was kind of a tribute to the whole 10 years. So it kind of ties into the fact that some actors didn't have autograph cards in the original releases. So I'm looking at Thor, the movie, which had 5 autograph cards in the set, and they were 1 in every 300 hobby packs and 1 in every 2,500 retail packs. So that's all about whether they're going to general stores like Target or whether they're going to specialist stores, I think. And the actors were Kenneth Branagh, the autographs, were Kenneth Branagh, who was director, of course, Joshua Dallas, Clark Gregg, Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston. Then it's got unreleased autograph cards.
Huh.
Jamie Alexander, Kat Dennings, Idris Elba, and Colm Fiore. who was
Wow.
the Frost giant king, I think. But it goes after the unreleased autograph cards. It says included with Avengers Edition set, which I've never heard of until reading it for this moment, and I don't remember seeing it at the time. Now, the interesting thing with these sets is that Thor came out quite a few years ago, but it was it was when Upper Deck started doing the printing plates. It was around that time.
Oh, wow.
That set had a printing plate for all of the cards. It also had artist sketch cards. So what I find really interesting about these MCU sets is that they've put sketch cards in them,
Yeah.
as well as the actor autographs, as well as the costume memorabilia or movie cell cards.
The movie cell cards always look really cute.
Yeah.
Really cool.
And they're really, really intriguing. But with my Avengers set, so if we go back to the Avengers set, you had the base set, which was I think it was about 140 cards, somewhere around there. And then you had various kind of subsets, but they're all kind of photo cards. And I think that's the thing for a lot of people is that a lot of people don't dig the photo cards. They like the comic art cards. So you generally find some collectors will straddle both worlds quite comfortably, but a lot of collectors, go for the art cards, which is predominantly the stuff that we've been talking about. So
Right.
I'm talking about the Avengers Assemble set simply because it's the one I'm most familiar with, but I'm just going to go through it. See, it broke down into several sections. So it was all sort of photo cards, but it actually went through Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor. So you had a run of cards throughout the set for each movie that kind of told you the story for each movie. And I think it's because when the cards are released, which is a similar thing to Topps with Star Wars, is that they're having to make a set, but they might not be able to include the images yet because of production lead time. So a lot of the Avengers Assemble set is actually recapping the movies that led up to it. So Thor, I've got then cards 67 from 90 is Captain America the First Avenger. And then it's only when you get up to cards 91 that you're into Marvel Avengers. And then that runs 91 through 166. So it's quite a big set.
That is a big set.
Yeah, and then you've got characters, which is 167 to 76. So it's Captain America, Thor, Bruce Banner, etc. Then you've got chase cards, which are concept series, and you've got 9 of these: Black Widow, Hulk, Air Vehicle. So these are basically the designs of all the costumes and all the hardware.
Wow.
There's only 9 of those. But then one thing I do find really interesting is that this set, along with Thor, along with the other early Rittenhouse sets, early Upper Deck sets, I don't know if they still do it on the current ones, they had comic art covers, which are like Marvel Beginnings had. They're literally just the front cover of notable issues throughout the run of Avengers. So they're not like pieces of comic art or anything like that, but they just look really cool because they're just really good front covers.
Yeah. See, I want to save.
And that's a nice little collection in itself.
That's a very nice little collection. Yeah, I think that's a nice little set. I think the MCU sets are really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. So, talking about MCU sets, I kind of want to bridge over into kind of speculation in terms of, do you think we'll get more people into the hobby because Disney will want to start releasing Upper Deck sets for WandaVision, She-Hulk, Moon Knight, right? All these kind of pieces, Miss Marvel. Do you think we'll get some more Disney collectors in the Marvel card hobby?
For me, it all comes down. I'm not sure if I think Disney collectors, because I I kind of know of and cross paths with people who are into Disney, and it is a
me too.
thing to the people who are into Marvel, because Marvel might be owned by Disney, but it is a very different thing. So the people who are into Disney are mad about Disney, as in they go to Disney World, they do their favorite songs, whether it's Let It Go, whether it's all that sort of stuff, and that's the kind of thing they talk about. I'm not sure if there's crossover there, but I think my answer to your question would be it very much depends on how they price it. So if they stay at the premium end, then the only people you're going to get into the hobby are people who've got the wallet for it, and maybe that's what they want to do. If you want to get the younger audience in and grow them over a period of time, then you're going to have the lower budget introduction sets in market, and there aren't that many of those around. Well, certainly in the UK, there's kind of more of them, but that's because a different company has the license.
Right.
But the cards aren't. I don't collect them at all because I don't think the cards are actually that good.
See, and
But
that's what's interesting to me. Like, I don't know if we'll ever go back to a time period like early 90s, you know what I mean, where everyone was into trading cards. I don't know if Marvel, I don't know if that will ever go back to that. I don't know if this will always stay premium.
yeah,
It's hard to tell, but I don't know. I don't know how they would do that. They
yeah,
would
I don't
have to
think it's on
like,
their roadmap.
I don't think so either. I don't,
No.
not from the way I'm looking at the way they're doing things,
Mm,
especially the sets are becoming more
mm.
expensive. They're becoming thicker, premium. Um, yeah, I don't know. There was a concern, Kevin just hit me up. He was saying that he was wondering if the announcements of D23 and SDCC and how the different properties are coming up there, movies and stuff like that, especially with comic book speculation,
Mm.
if prices are going up on rare items of particular characters that are being featured in future things like on Disney Online, Disney Plus.
Yeah, possibly. I know. I would love to own an autograph card from any number of the sets that Downey Jr., for example, has signed for, or Chris Evans has
Mm,
signed for. I just know it's not going to happen. I could afford several pieces of original art for that money.
yeah, the autograph, man. Autographs are really
Yeah,
quite serious.
but they are very limited. So
Yeah.
if that's from the point of view of the fact that if you keep them limited, then it keeps them in demand. I get that.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting approach to it. I will say that just to finish up on the Avengers Assemble, that I'm going to touch on a number of other things. That set also has hologram foil inserts, which are
Wow.
called Heroes Evolve. So it's got 6 for Iron Man, 6 for Hulk, 6 for Thor. If I scroll down, there's 6 for Captain America, 6 for Hawkeye, 6 for Black Widow. They go on. Anyway, it's a 54 card set. 60 card set, because the last 6 are complete villains evolve, and it's Loki, basically.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That 60 card set is actually really, really quite hard to get. And I've got it because when I bought my master set, I think it cost me best part $150, $200.
Wow.
I'd say. And I've looked on eBay and eBay sold, and there's very few of those Heroes Evolve cards. Certainly not a full set at all. And I just extrapolated a price based on the few. I could see maybe 15 sales of those cards, and they were all
Yeah.
in double figures. So that Heroes Evolve set, not this is an advert for me offloading it, but I will be parting with that because as we talked about when we trimmed down our sketch cards collection, I have that Avengers Assemble set, but I've got no interest in keeping it, so I will be parting with it. But it's like,
Yeah.
where do you pitch it? So it's like I've done a little bit of research on it, and I'm not even sure if anyone's sort of seeking to collect it because it's not the autograph cards,
Honestly, I
not the
feel
memorabilia
like
cards.
for me, those MCU sets are only going to get more popular over time because I feel like what's happening right now is that there's this weird. Actually, I'm just looking at a graded 10 Bruce Banner Marvel Assemble E53
Mark
Heroes
Ruffalo.
Evolve.
Ah,
Yeah,
right.
Mark
Okay.
Ruffalo. Yeah, so I'm looking at a graded 10 one now.
Yeah.
GMA grade 10, which I don't know that company.
I've got no idea
It's
what
not
any
a
of that means.
no, it's not very expensive. I'll send you the link. But
Okay.
anyway, so I'm wondering if because look, you're looking at games, you're looking at all these other things that are coming out, and they're taking the lookalikes from the actors. Like Captain America is very much drawn like Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Bruce Banner very much looks like Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
So there is this weird thing that's coming up, and it's been 10 years. So young kids who are not 18, starting to get some money, starting to get more serious about their hobbies or their likes. I wonder if these actors will eventually take over kind of what these characters have start to look like, right?
Yeah.
Because at first, when Marvel movies first came out, everyone was like, "Well, Robert Downey Jr. kind of looks like Iron Man, or like we were kind of like, oh, this character has red hair, so they look like Scarlett Johansson or whatever, Black Widow. And we were trying to get them to look like these characters that were drawn in the 60s and 70s. And now you see modern day comic books, and Iron Man has that beard.
Yes.
So it is this weird kind of thing where like these actors are kind of influencing what these characters will look like in the future.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is Disney. The knowledge of working with Disney from my job is that they have very, 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 very set and strict brand guidelines as to what the character should look like.
Fascinating.
I was going to give you an example, but I can't get fired, so I'll tell you off air. But there's the most ridiculous example we've had recently with one of the shows we work on. Yeah, I can't talk about it now.
Don't do anything like that.
But the interesting thing is, I was looking through these lists, and like I said, pretty much everyone's had a look in at some point. But a lot of these movies have little kind of promo sets that might not be part of the Upper Deck release, but they might be in cinemas, for example.
Oh, interesting.
Or with a certain kind of, in fact, most of these appear to be similar. Appear to be in cinemas. There are some here that are Guardians of the Galaxy on Alan's site has got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but then it's got a listing of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 Haynes and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 AMC. So AMC we know is a cinema chain. Haynes is an underwear brand, if I remember correctly. Yes, exactly. And it's a promo series that it was made by Upper Deck, but they were exclusively put in Haynes products sold at Walmart, for example. And it's
interesting.
Yeah. So that kind of distribution is pretty interesting. I've just looked at this set, and wouldn't it be great if you bought a bag of pants at Walmart and you opened it and you had autograph card WMSL, which is Stan Lee.
That's hilarious.
For example, was in that set along with Dave Bautista, I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's Bautista.
And those were the only two limited to 10 autograph cards in that set through Haynes in Walmart.
Wow.
That's nuts.
That is nuts.
But once you scratch the surface of these things, you realize how it's all about, a lot of it is about distribution as well, especially domestically in the US. So Guardians of the Galaxy AMC was just a tiny little set. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 cards. One of them was the checklist.
Wow.
So, which was
I love that.
It's crazy, cool. And you can make a puzzle of it. So I'll give you an example. There was a set from Spider-Man Into the Verse that came out in Odeon Cinemas in the UK, and they're bizarre. They're bigger than, well, they're kind of wide. They're like the wide screen, wide vision ones, I guess.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't manage to go to the cinema to see it, but I bought some unopened packs off eBay, and it's a pretty nice little set. But there's still a few characters I haven't got, and I bought a fair number of packs. But they're nice little sets, and that kind of thing is probably more on the spectrum of what the movies do to just hook people at the point of purchase, the point of delivery, I guess, because it's all about distribution of the movie. Where can I see the movie? Okay, I can see the movie there. Okay, so who's going to that? Okay, it's families with kids. Right, so let's do a little, set of cards just within that cinema. Or in the UK, for some of the Avengers films, Avengers Infinity War especially, there was a piece of commissioned artwork by an artist called Matt Ferguson, and you got like a mini poster, which was probably about, I get letter size or maybe 9-card sheet size. And there were 5 of them, and they were interconnecting. And you could only get them if you went to see Avengers Infinity War on certain days after release. So on the Friday you got one of them, on the Saturday you got one of them, on the Sunday you got one of them. And as a set of 5, they were being sold for quite a bit. I mean, that market's dropped now. But I find it interesting that there's different promos for different cinema chains in different parts of the world that are kind of a much more available thing than the Upper Deck EPAX thing, which is much more of a niche thing, much more
Yeah.
premium. So I guess there is stuff out there. What I also find interesting is that the my phone my phone has just overheated. iPhone needs to cool down before you can use it. That's how warm it is up here.
Yikes.
So let me just turn my phone off because I don't want it blowing up. Apologies for this, listeners. So if you can no longer see me, that's why.
That's totally fine.
That's mad.
I've burned an image of you into my mind.
I've just suddenly realised that my iPad is also in the sun. So let me just quickly move that.
Oh.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to join. Sorry for this, listeners. I'm going to join the meeting via my iPad so that we can see each other again. Because if we can't see each other, then quite frankly,
what is this worth?
What is this?
What is this for?
Because that's the only reason. Right, let me just don't connect to audio because then we'll have horrible feedback. Here we go. So you're going to see me any moment now, dear. Zoom would like to access your camera. There we go. Zoom would like to access your microphone. You can do, but I haven't connected my audio. Here we go. There I am. Can you see me again?
Hello.
Lovely.
Yes, I do.
You. Let me turn that round. Marvelous. So that's a flattering view of me. I'm sideways. Let me turn it this way. We'll have to edit this bit out.
We will.
Anyway, the Netflix folk got a look in as well, which was really interesting. So Daredevil, seasons 1 and 2. So there's a couple of sets for Daredevil. And there was also a Jessica Jones TV promo set, but she didn't get her own full set.
Interesting.
The odds of her getting a full set at this stage are pretty slim. But Daredevil, of course, series 1 and 2 were pretty much the first ones out of the gate in terms of the production and lead time. But Jessica Jones did have a TV promo set distributed in a sealed cellophane pack of 6 cards, plus a title card. So that's 7 in total, which is basically 1 for each character in that first Jessica Jones series. Where it was distributed, it does not say, but it did get a look in. But of course, they did do a Defenders set. So Luke Cage would have had exposure there. Iron Fist would have had exposure there. I imagine Punisher would have had exposure via the Daredevil season 2 set.
I think so.
So they'll have all had some life within the cards that were released for those. And I have to say, those are probably, and I haven't looked, I would assume a little bit more affordable.
The Defender set?
It's certainly in terms of if you're going to go after those autographs.
Let me see.
One would imagine that.
I'm sure the prices have dropped. I did hear.
One would imagine a Charlie Cox is worth less than a Downey Jr. But that's no offense to Mr. Cox.
I did hear from some spec guys that those people on the Defenders, like the Netflix shows, when the Netflix kind of contract ends up, they might be coming back, is what I'm hearing.
Interesting. Okay.
So I don't know if that's true, but I did hear that.
Well, that'd be good. I mean, that Daredevil series is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
I loved
really
it.
Loved
it. I've still got season 3 to watch. I'm kind of holding on to it because I know after that it'll be done.
Yeah,
so
that's always devastating.
Yeah, I'm kind of holding on to it. But of course, Doctor Strange had a set. Deadpool had a set very recently through Upper Deck. The first Deadpool movie set is listed on here. Actually, the Deadpool set from Upper Deck was kind of a joint thing, I think. I don't think it was specific to any particular movie. There was a 6-card, again, distributed in a 6 plus 1, as in a title card, cello pack that was distributed in 2016 for the first movie. But again, it doesn't say where it was distributed. So there's all these fun little promos to chase on the MCU side of things. There's a guy in the group actually called Jake Tweedy. Good evening, Jake, if you're listening.
Jake.
He's in the UK actually, and he's a big MCU collector. He's just recently been getting into it. I think it's been interesting watching him giving updates of him receiving stuff because it's a vast mountain to climb.
Yeah, it is. I'm
If you
looking at it.
think
It's
about,
pretty. It's pretty serious.
there's a number of sets out there. You've got you've got Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange has got a number of different variants as well. Because of course there's the EPAX exclusive release, as well as the physical in-store release, and they were actually two different sets. You've got Avengers, you've got Age of Ultron, you've got Infinity War. Interestingly, so if I go back to my notes, which are also on this iPad, Endgame and Captain Marvel did have sets solicited on the schedule, but according to the last update from Sci-Fi Cards, who's the I highly recommend Ed Webb at Sci-Fi Cards as a dealer. He's a really nice guy. He knows his stuff, and he's a he goes around, he does the shows, he puts in the miles, and he's solid. So he comes Ian recommended. Ed, good evening if you're listening. He sends out a monthly newsletter, and his last one said that Endgame and Captain Marvel were now off the schedule. He put it, so they've disappeared from the radar, which I thought was interesting. Given the amount of Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame stuff that was in the Infinity War and Marvel Studios' first 10 years sets, that may be why. But Captain Marvel, you would have thought, would have its own set. And of course, Far From Home has just had a set announced, even though that license will be swinging back towards Sony in terms of the sort of creative direction of things for a while.
Yeah,
which will be interesting to see how that happens. So, yes, interesting. So the MCU, I mean, listen, they'll keep putting out the MCU sets, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree, and I think they'll. I don't know. I think the MCU sets will maybe attract bigger. I don't know. It might attract people through the hobby. I don't know. Disney collectors can be kind of serious, and they're doing a lot of marketing where they're putting superheroes next to Mickey Mouse, and that seems to be like a growing thing they're starting to do now.
Yes. So D23.
I don't know.
Well, we'll put this in the tasting notes actually, because we've barely mentioned anything to go in the tasting notes this time. Although we'll put some images of some of these cards and autographs that we're talking about. Marvel Comics 1000. What that's all about, I don't know, is out this week coming as we record, and I've been hearing about it, and it's been solicited for such a long time. I thought it had come and gone already, but apparently it's still to come. So that's out this week, but there's a D23 variant cover which has a load of the Avengers in their MCU kind of visuals, as in it looks like Downey Jr., it looks like Chris Evans, etc., surrounding Mickey Mouse, who's got a candle or a birthday cake or something. I'm doing it from memory, but and that was only available at D23. So not only is it a variant cover, but it puts the Avengers firmly next to Mickey Mouse. Of course, Mickey Mouse is 80 years old this year.
Yeah.
So that's probably what the connection is there. So yes, there's definitely.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, he's bringing them an 80th cake, and they are gathered around. It's featuring Captain Marvel, Captain America, Iron Man, Black Panther, and Spider-Man.
Wow!
And the real fun treat about the cover is that it has Fantastic Four memorabilia, like the T-shirt. It also has Fing Fang Foom, which they are saying is going to be the new character in the Ten Rings.
Oh, okay.
That's the other speculation. That comes from a channel called TVO, Lords of Longbox, I think, and Gemmin as well. I heard it through the channel. I just wanted to give him a shout out.
Lords
I didn't want to
Longbox.
Yeah,
what
it's a pretty cool
name.
channel. Yeah, they're pretty cool people. They're very nice. So I just wanted to give him a shout out just in case, because I don't want to take people's information. But there's also an X-Men logo in the background as well. And it's very cool. I mean, it's littered with a bunch of Easter eggs. So Daredevil's in there too. So I don't know, man. It's pretty cool.
The actually, I should mention at this point that last year was Mickey's 80th. This year is Marvel's 80th, which hence the Marvel Comics 1000. So that's what the 80th is in relation to.
Oh, okay. So that's why he's
Not
bringing them
Mickey.
the cake.
Yeah,
I was wondering. I was
if
like,
he's
God,
bringing
it's
them the cake.
Mickey's
then, yeah.
birthday. I don't know. Mickey
no.
should bring the cake. Seems
I
a
know
little rude.
I know it was Mickey's last year because one of the things I work on is Disney on Ice, and we had that as part of the.
They got Deadpool in the background too. It's a very cool cover. Yeah.
So obviously Disney went off and bought 20th Century Fox. Largely, it's purported just to get the licenses back for Fantastic Four and X-Men and Deadpool. I think they're going to try and buy Sony.
Worth it.
It's so worth it. So worth it. They get Black Cat back. They do Black Cat properly. I'm in. They do a Black Cat MCU. I tell you, the day that happens, I'm bankrupt.
Yeah. Just imagine
this is one of those things. This is one of those things. Yeah, sitting in my shopping cart rocking. Do you remember? Did you do this back in the day when you used to do fantasy casting? So you'd be like, "Oh yeah, what would your dream cast be?" And it would be the most ridiculous things. And people used to do it before the MCU stuff was here.
Oh yeah.
And now I don't know if people do it so much because our dreams have kind of become reality in a little bit. But certainly Lord of the Rings, back in the 80s when I was coming up, people would speculate who would be in a Lord of the Rings movie, for example.
Yeah.
And of course, half the people we were suggesting are probably dead by now. But if you were going to speculate who would be in a Black Cat movie as Black Cat of the current crop of fresh young talent out there,
who would be Black Cat?
And while we're there, in fact, this could be a fun quiz or fun sort of, can people suggest stuff on the comments and on Twitter at the MCC Pod. People, just tweet us or comment on the post.
Yeah,
and actually suggest people. And while we're there, if the MCU were to have Silver Surfer, your silence.
I'm good. I'm listening. I'm waiting.
I'm waiting. That's the thing. This is what we want to ask the listeners.
Yeah. So, I mean, please let us know. And if you have a favorite character who's yet to be shown but has been claimed by Disney, give us your input. I know there's tons of fan input about who the Fantastic Four should be, replacement for Wolverine.
Yeah.
But, we'd love to hear any suggestions of who kind of is your fantasy pick for a particular character that might be coming to cinemas.
It's like fantasy football, but with superheroes instead.
Done.
Yeah, fantasy.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Of course, they have had. You have had almost a Black Cat in the abandoned Andrew Garfield run of Spider-Man movies, because Felicity Jones was playing Felicia Hardy.
Yep.
Who was, I believe, a secretary or a paralegal in Dane DeHaan's Green Goblin, who became Green Goblin at the end of Spider-Man 2.
Oh, yeah.
So she was in there, and I think they were gearing her up to be Black Cat. And of course, in the Fantastic Four movies that Fox put out in the noughties, you had Lawrence Fishburne do the voice and Doug Jones do the mocap. Doug Jones, my goodness me. For anyone who doesn't know who Doug Jones is, you have definitely seen him.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know you've seen him.
Disservice.
Yeah.
Just Star Trek, Discovery, Hellboy.
He's in Discovery. He was in Hellboy as the fishy guy. I can't remember his name. Top of my head. He was in Falling Skies.
Oh yeah.
He was in The Shape of Water, the Guillermo del Toro movie that won the Oscar.
Too.
I haven't seen that yet. Actually, we've got it on our watch list. Yeah,
it was good. It was good. Very classic Hollywood kind of movie, but it was nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. In fact, I might suggest it to the good lady wife this evening.
It's a nice movie.
Yeah, and to watch that movie. What else can we talk about this week? So MCU. I don't collect them myself. I know there's a lot of them. I know a lot of them have the autograph and memorabilia cards and the film sale cards, which are extremely collectible. And
the newest set has the script insert with
yes,
the autograph, which I think I actually really dig.
which is nice. I'll tell you
Yeah.
who used to do something like that. Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, that's
The
cool.
set that Rittenhouse put out. They put out some pretty nice chase cards for that in the latter years of it, and I think some of them were signed script pages, if I remember
That's
correctly. Well, obviously
really
you
cool.
just get a little segment from the page. You can't have the whole thing because it'd be a massive trading card.
I kind of like that though. You know what
but
I
it's a
mean? Because
nice
then
idea.
you're not archiving this kind of paper stuff. You just have to worry about the card, which is a kind of nice little.
Yeah.
You know, we should have an episode on inserts and just talk about our favorite inserts and cool inserts and top 5 inserts and all that kind of stuff. That'd be kind of a cool idea.
I tell you what, as a starter for 10, mine strangely, mine are all non-Marvel on that side of things.
That's pretty cool.
And it goes back to Rittenhouse. They
good,
were really good. In fact, Inkworks.
Well, they were on top of it too, man.
Yeah.
They kept track of everything. The site was perfect.
Yeah. Well, let's start with Inkworks. So with the Lost sets, for series 2 or 3, they did sand cards. And what that was, you had the actor who played Charlie and the actor who played Hurley, Jorge Garcia. Both of them got a glass jar of sand from the beach in Hawaii. So you have a shot of them getting the jar of sand, and then Inkworks embedded some of that sand into the card. So it's kind of, you can kind of shake it around within the card. I kid you not. I'm going to get it for you and show it to you right now.
That's pretty
because
weird.
It is the most nuts thing. Well, you haven't heard the half of it yet. Where is my lost binder?
Were they on vacation? Was this an episode?
No, it was part. No, it's part of, because they filmed it all in Hawaii.
Oh,
so they just got the actors to do it. Yeah. So
that's not a bad idea.
My bind. So basically, I did have, and I know it's a Marvel card podcast, but it's also non-sports. So we're going to talk about this. I went deep into Lost in a big way, and I got. A couple of years ago, I parted with all of my binders, and I just kept the costume cards.
I like costume cards a lot.
Yeah, and I kept all of the autograph cards as well. So that's showing. No,
that's a really good autograph.
1.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's a series. Well, that's a 9 card of series 1. So I've got, and some of them sort of crossed the streams, as it were. They had signed. They had cards that were signed and memorabilia. So it'd be a bit of costume, and then it would also be signed. Some of them were dual characters, so they had a Jack and Kate Austin card. So you'd have like 2
Once
pieces.
Those 2 broke up, I was out. I don't even care, man. First 3 seasons, I was in.
So one half of that is Jack and one half is Kate.
See, why did they break up though?
Yeah.
That didn't make sense. No, wait,
Kate was
Sawyer. Was Kate with Sawyer?
Oh
yeah, I finished it. I watched all of it. Okay, I know what was happening, but they switched couples.
I can't remember. Yeah, well, they did. It was that kind of party.
Not cool.
They're on an island. What are you going to do?
Not cool.
So here we go. Here's the sand card. Sawyer did one as well.
Oh, I like Sawyer.
Right. So you see there, you see him with a jar on beach.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And look, that sand moves around, isn't it? So that's loose in that card, secured between 2 acetate.
You know, in theory, it sounds like a bit much, but then you see it.
It's
I'm
really
kind of
cool.
into it.
It's really cool. And on the back, it said, "Item featured is authentic sand from the set of Lost, i.e., a beach in Hawaii."
It's kind of funny though, because it does take place on an island, so that makes sense.
It's really cool. Right, here
it.
we go. The Sawyer one was a redemption, and it was a piece of. He's not pictured doing the jar thing with the sand, because it's a bit of costume from the shirt that he's wearing in that shot, and the
sand.
So they've mixed it.
I like the setup a lot, actually. I love the layout of the card.
Yeah, it's really nice. But then it got even more.
How
bonkers.
thick are those?
They're pretty
35?
No, they're thicker than that. They're probably about 60.
Okay.
But then it got even more bonkers. This card is super heavy, and you'll understand why when you see it. And it's thick as well.
Does it have a crab in it
No,
from the beach of the set of velocity?
that's the thickness. Stop it! You're mocking me. That's the thickness.
Me too. Okay.
What's that? What's that say?
Item featured is an authentic piece of the crashed plane from the set of Lost. No way.
Check that out.
Okay, well that's dope. All right.
That's nuts. It's actually a piece because in the pilot episode of Lost, people are going to be switching off in their droves because we promised Marvel cards and we're giving them something else. But you know what?
Okay, fine. Here's a little Marvel thing to say for everybody. They did something really cool in the Spider-Man Fleer Ultra set where they did the symbiote, where they made the symbiote stuff. So materials showing up in inserts, it does happen, and it's very cool.
It does. So, and now this is where we segue, because I do believe that Greg Grunberg. Actually, no, he hasn't appeared in Marvel. I'm thinking of Favreau. So, Greg Grunberg is kind of the guy that looks like Favreau but isn't Favreau.
Oh, the Favreau lookalike.
You know the guy I mean. He was in no. Okay, he was. He's J.J. Abrams' mate. So
okay, yeah. I'm sure.
He was in the first Star Trek movie. He was the voice of Kirk's dad, shouting at him over the radio when as a child Kirk had stolen his car.
Oh yeah.
He was there, and he's an X-wing pilot. He's part of Poe Squadron in Force Awakens.
This guy's everywhere. That's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And he was the pilot in Lost of the Flight 815.
He's not a very good pilot.
He's not. But there's another card with a bit of the plane with his signature, and this is a heavy card because for the pilot of Lost, they actually
look at that
from one of those plane graveyards in America, an actual fuselage of a commercial airliner.
See, there's great crossover too in the non-sports stuff, man. You're getting actors who, I mean, he wasn't in the MCU, but he was in every other IP.
But the interesting thing is that it's these are just examples of the kind of really inventive insert cards that have been done, and I do find it interesting that the only kind of place that's not quite true. Spider-Man, Fleer Ultra Spider-Man 2017 did manufactured webbing cards.
Yeah, the symbiote stuff,
thick, which were kind of well, there's webbing. They did
some of it's webbing, right? Yeah, maybe all of it's webbing. I'm not sure.
And they're absolutely incredible cards.
Yeah, they're really cool looking. I think, and those are thick cards too, right?
Yeah, I've not been chasing them at all. Here's a thing. So going back to D23, but also still talking about Lost because I have the binder out. Do you remember the young boy who played young Benjamin Linus?
I remember the character. I don't remember the actor.
So at D23, about 10 years ago, only at D23 could you meet that actor and get him to sign one of those cards.
No way.
So that's the young boy. I mean, he's probably in his 20s now, the actor.
That's hilarious.
And there was also one at D23, and I've had this save search.
He has a cool signature.
He has. The guy who played the Dharma guy, the Asian guy.
Dharma. Yeah.
He was there as well. Kenneth Chung is his name. And he was also at that same D23 signing the day after. I've never seen one of those cards pop up on eBay, but it is my lost want because they'll be very, very limited. But we've neatly tied in a Lost conversation back into D23. So at this point, I should probably put the Lost binder down. Otherwise, we're going to start a podcast called Lost Trading Club. But it's interesting because Rittenhouse and Inkworks, because the sand cards and the plain fuselage cards were Inkworks. Rittenhouse carried it on and did some rather interesting things with them. They did some really great stuff with Battlestar Galactica. So it's nice to see that the MCU cards do kind of, certainly from that MCU set, having the script, have been doing that. The one thing that a lot of people don't like with the actual autograph cards on the MCU, especially the newer ones, is that they're sticker autographs.
They're what? Stickers?
Sticker, yeah. So what happens is the actor hasn't signed the card.
Oh,
he's signed a sticker. And that's put onto the card. So if you look at which is done a lot actually.
Yeah, because there's this holographic sticker on. Okay,
exactly.
I know what you're talking about.
Now I get why, because there was a whole. I think it might have been the first Star Trek movie, the Rittenhouse movie, because Rittenhouse, generally speaking, I think they did the Harry Potter cards. I might be wrong, but for the first Star Trek movie, there were forgeries. Where the card had been, there were forgeries of the, people had gone to the lengths to create one of the trading cards and then, forge a signature on there. And there were some of those around of the top end, J.J. Abrams, Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto. I remember hearing about that a few years back. So that may be a way of getting around it, but also being able to get the autograph at a time when the actor has availability, but not commit to the card stock that it's going on.
Yeah.
So for years, Rittenhouse put out James Bond. Oh my goodness, I've got quite a few of the James Bond Rittenhouse cards. Are the ones I go for because it's a vast enterprise to go after. So I've limited myself to the Daniel Craig movies. Even with that, some of the cards are twice the thickness of Marvel Premiere and Marvel Masterpieces.
Wow.
Because they have embedded bits of shattered windscreen from Aston Martin.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Things like that. So, they are properly really interesting collectibles because it gives you that tangible connection.
See, I like that stuff. I love getting things from sets too, though.
Exactly.
Like, that's really awesome.
And so I think if some of that stuff was a little bit less, maybe it's not as limited, maybe it's just my perception, but I perceive it as being more limited with the MCU stuff. It's certainly much more expensive because Marvel is at kind of peak, everyone wants it at the moment. So maybe there's exactly the same as there were for the Bond sets, but Marvel's just really hot, so there's more people chasing them, so the price goes up. I don't know. I perceive them as being more expensive. But if I had that tangible, okay, I know that this was worn on that set.
Yeah.
And I know that this was that car that was used in that stunt. I mean, it's difficult with MCU because a lot of it's special effects and green screen. So you kind of haven't
got, you can't get a piece of green screen fabric.
Which is maybe why they limit it to the fabrics. But Rittenhouse, for all the James Bond years, they had several, because they changed the style of the set slightly. They would have actors sign different
parts of the set. That's really cool.
No, different types of cards. So you had
different type of cards. Sorry,
so you get the same actor who'd signed a full bleed card, or who'd signed a 40th anniversary style card, or who'd signed a Women of Bond style card. And the idea was that with each set they released, they would release autographs in different formats.
Oh wow!
Across the sets, so it would act as a booster for being the style of autograph that went with the set that you might have collected first. It was really interesting the way they did it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. So, and that's the way they got around it. But of course, if Marvel, if Upper Deck are doing the stickers for these actors, then once they've got the stickers and it's an authenticated autograph, they can put it on whatever release they wanted.
Interesting.
I imagine those stickers are probably there. There's probably a raft of them, because if you get Downey Jr. to agree to do it, you're not going to just get him to do 50. If you can, you're going to get him to do 200. You might only put 50 in the Avengers Endgame set, and the rest of them are sat in a high security vault somewhere.
Clever. That way they don't have to continuously commission the actor more. Yeah. Wow. So they can just place it on a new insert that comes out maybe like 3 years later.
Yeah.
Wow. The only non-sport set, I mean, there's plenty of really good ones out there, but the one I always come back to wanting to get into is Twilight Zone.
Oh,
I don't know. I always want to kind of dive into that one for some reason.
It is iconic.
They have some really cool autograph cards too.
It is absolutely iconic.
I always think about going into that, but
well, the only other one I've dabbled in, and again, it's been on pause for a lot of years, so I've literally got maybe 2% of it, is Star Trek, when Rittenhouse released a 40th anniversary set. You could get costume cards, and they were costume cards that were of the actual original 1960s TV show costumes.
That looks awesome.
Now, I'm holding up for those because you can see it. Our
Yeah, I can
listeners
say
can't.
right. I'm just like drooling
I'll
over
put
here.
it on the
Sorry,
texting
guys.
notes. It is a Lieutenant Sulu costume card from the 2003, I think it says here, Star Trek 40th anniversary set from Rittenhouse Archives. And in here, I've got costumes from other characters from that original series, from Enterprise, from Deep Space Nine, and I've literally got maybe 12 of them. There's over 100 in that set.
Wow.
It was absolutely crazy. But the fact that I own a piece of material that was made in the 60s, worn on that screen, that means...
I mean, how amazing is that?
But the weird thing is that means more to me than having the autograph of Robert Downey Jr.
See,
isn't it weird?
No, it's not weird because autographs are so for me, and this will bridge into like I won't to mention too much because I don't want to say stuff that we have an episode planned and an experience I just went through which I told Ian about. So I don't want to go into that.
Which was the other route we could have gone today if we were going to talk about.
If we were going to do that.
Yeah.
I have a lot to say about the autograph stuff, especially stuff that's coming from comic book legends and all the different avenues that they're going. But materials and sets and all those inserts, those are things that I'm very much inclined to be more a part of as well. I'm surprised they didn't get anything, because they had that auction for all the stuff of the Netflix Marvel properties like Daredevil, Luke Cage, and all that stuff.
Ah, yes.
I wonder if they did any materials for that Defender series.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's anything there for that because I mean now that that's off, you know what I mean? I'm maybe I don't know. Maybe they pick some stuff up. Maybe something will come out in the future. Who knows?
Possibly. Yeah, it's those auctions though that a lot of these companies do. Well, it depends. Some of them buy them from auctions. Some of them actually have the deal, so that as soon as they're finished with them on set, they literally
they get a hold of them.
Which and I know Upper Deck. I think Upper Deck got the license for Bond and released a set early this year or last year.
Wow.
And there's autographs in there from Spectre that Rittenhouse.
That's cool.
Because, and of course the new Bond movie coming out. So a lot of that won't go via auction house. There'll already be a deal in place and it'll go straight to whoever the current license holder is for distributing and making those trading cards. So, bring it on. But it's interesting. I think the TV, if I was going to go into that realm, it's a slippery slope and you've got to have realistic expectations and to a certain extent deep pockets. If I was going to go into the realm of collecting on-screen Marvel, then I would probably do the TV route because it's finite. I know what the boundaries of it are.
Yeah.
Whereas with MCU, that's going to be going and going and going, and it's going to be like, okay, where do you call it quits? Do you just do up to Endgame? Do you just do Phase 1? I mean, this comes back to, I think, a little bit of Cards 101, but a little bit about when we were talking about Marvel Masterpieces 2018. You kind of have to make a very pragmatic decision at the beginning: is what kind of set do I want to go for?
Yes.
What's my collection going to be? Because otherwise, you can go for everything and everything.
You really can. Crazy. Like it can just keep going and going and going.
Which is why for the Lost ones, I've jettisoned all my all the promos, and there were some really rare promos. I jettisoned all the base cards, all the chase cards, and some of them were wonderful. There was a Dharma Initiative set that was only available at SDCC.
That's pretty cool.
That you could only get from there. All of those are gone. I've just got the actor autographs, the costume cards, and the memorabilia cards.
Wow.
And I still haven't finished. I haven't touched it for a few years, to be fair. I've been focusing on Marvel of late.
Yeah.
So I guess, folks, we could talk about MCU a lot more, and we will do. But in terms of the cards, it's not my particular area of expertise. I was hoping when we thought we were going to talk about the cards a few weeks back when we did MCU Stew Part 1, to have Jake on. So he could tell us about how he's found sort of chasing them and going after them. And I still want to do that, Jake. So when you're up for it, he's on my time zone. So you'll have two strange English accents to worry about and translate.
Lucky me.
I know. I bet you can't wait. Can you? Did we have anything else to talk about this episode? I think we're done for this week.
I think we are.
So Norin of Radshire. We've already got stuff to talk about next week. We've got some fun stuff to talk about. Actually, there's been some interesting things happening. And like I said, folks, if you can, please spread the word. Get your local government representative to petition Upper Deck. And for those binders, tweet about us, at us on Facebook and on Twitter, and tell everyone about it. Leave us a review on the Facebook page and on iTunes. We never ask you for anything. So
true.
And finally, please leave us a message via anchor/MCCP/messages. I've probably muffed up that link because I'm going to put it on the tasting notes and on Twitter. You can leave us a voice message, just like you would do. Hey, how you doing? I think you're out doing your laundry. Sorry I missed you. I'll be round in half an hour. Bye. I mean, you could literally do that if you wanted to. But
that actually
you can
really
leave
funny.
It would actually. No one's done it yet, and I've been asking them for the last 10 plus.
That's fair.
So, it may be that people just don't want to do it. I have checked. I thought maybe it doesn't notify me when someone's left a message, and I don't want to be that person who gets home and you have 17 messages.
That's fair.
And they're all kind of marketers and cold callers, and one's your mum. It's not going to be not your mum, mine.
Fair.
And it's not going to be like that. I don't think there are no messages in there. So maybe collectors are a nation of people who like to text and do things on.
Possibly some people might not have the mic.
Might not be the thing. Well, you
might not be the thing.
Yeah, you can. When I tried it, I did a little dummy run on my computer at work, and it just activated my computer's microphone.
Oh, okay, good.
Do you see what I mean? And I think you can do it on smartphones and iPads as well. And they've got
that's awesome
stuff you need. So all it does is it's like a voice memo thing, but it just records it on that thing, and we can play it in the show. So I just thought it'd be a really cool way. People are really interacting with us on the comments on the posts, and asking us stuff and making suggestions and throwing in their experiences, which is great. But it'd be really good if we can get some of that on audio, just so that we can include it in the episodes, because then you hear other audio textures.
Other audio textures. I love it.
Other audio textures are available. Until next time.
Bye, everyone, and enjoy collecting.
There we go. You remembered it. Brilliant.
I got it.
Hey. Cheerio, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast. You can subscribe via our home on anchor.fm/MCCP. Leave us a message via that link with questions, comments, or just to say hi, and we may even play on the show. We're also on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. Our podcast is at the MCC Pod on Facebook and Twitter, and you can find links on our Facebook page to the two groups MCCW, Marvel Card Collectors Worldwide, and MMC, Marvel Masterpieces Collectors. On Instagram, find us at MMCollectors and at Sketch Card Hive. The great music we use is called Rocket Power by Kevin MacLeod. Thanks to the collectors, artists and creators who support the Marvel Cards Fan Collective. We'll see you next time, and remember, it's a small hobby but a fun one. Make mine Marvel and enjoy collecting.